Welcome again to the Duck Shack here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I just let the ducks out again today and they're talking up a storm. Thought it was time for a little urban farm update. We sold 2 of our ducks last Sunday to a lovely woman who rescued a dumped male pekin. So that's why it looks like we're down 2, because we are. We sold Karen, the khaki Campbell, so Kirby's the only one left, and Aurora, the nicer of the 2 female pekins. And apparently they're doing great. So here are our sunchokes. This is new for us this year, and we hope that those are going to do well. Our hardy apricot, this is the one I had been giving the duck water to. The other one is where that white stake is, and see, it's just not that tall. It only goes to about there. So I think we've proven if you give duck water to fruit trees, they do much better. Speaking of duck water, the squash bed tends to get the most of the duck water these days, and this is our spaghetti squash mound, which is doing really well. This empty one, the little seedlings are almost ready to transplant, and that's going to be cantaloupe. These are, the 4th or 5th zucchini and delicata squash plants. Apparently, especially the delicata, is quite the delicacy for ducks. They have eaten many. And back in these little triangles, I have calendula because I needed more, and I had space. This is the volunteer butternut. It seems to have kind of not really stalled, it's just not growing the way I would have expected by now, so kind of wondering what that's about. And here we have the rest of the back garden. This is the back garden. So in this more shaded area, we have the fennel, which is doing the best I've ever had fennel grow. Kind of a surprise for me this year. The collards next to it, which are loving this heat. Lettuce, the couple of broccoli plants that I'm trying to keep going. The volunteer potatoes, which are going crazy actually. Now, we've had some problems with brassicas bolting, especially the Chinese cabbage and the pak choi. They just are. So, not really sure what I'm going to do about that. I think I'm going to try growing them again in the fall. This is the radicchio bed, and that's actually doing really well, better than I would have expected. The pepper plants, as you can see, have all of a sudden started really growing again due to the heat. And here are my poor little kohlrabi. I just want some kohlrabi this year. I don't know if I'm going to get any. Again, I think I might try growing that in the fall. The volunteer onions and the peas are doing well, as is the romaine lettuce behind them. I managed to start mulching the cucumber and radish bed. There's some bachelor buttons right there. Wanted some flowers back here for pollinators. And, as you can see, they just are really, we're having trouble with the cucumbers this year. Last year our cucumbers grew like gangbusters. Oh my gosh, we had so many, sorry, duck in the background. We had so many, and this year, I don't know what's going to happen to them. So, we'll see. Tomato bed, and moon and stars watermelon, and lemon basil. But actually, these tomatoes have been growing really well. I do need to mulch the edges because the stupid ivy, this stuff, is constantly trying to take over the world. As you can see, though, I don't know if you can see on that one, some of the tomatoes are starting to put out flowers, and they're pretty well grown before they are. Oh, here's one. This is the Triple L crop. It's new to us this year, so we'll see what happens. Now back here, this is the paste tomato bed, and we're already starting to see some issues with the Sheboygans. If you can see, they are not as happy as I would like. I'm seeing a little bit of leaf curl. I'm seeing some leaves going icky. I'm going to start taking off all of the bottom leaves here today. This basil, you would think it'd be happier, but it's not. But these peppers actually are doing better than I would have expected, so I'll take it. Behind that is the massive potato bed. Well, and some onions. Yesterday I went through and I cut off the tops of a lot of the onions, not all. The ones that, as you can see, are competing with all of the potato vines and then this creeping Charlie, I left those. I figured those poor things were going to need it. And look how dry that soil is. You wouldn't know I watered last night. I did. Soaked this bed even. So I think we are going to have to do a major water. Hello, grass clippings I need to spread. So more here. Now these are Oxheart tomatoes. They are starting to do their flowers too. And they have literally grown over a foot in just the last few days. So on the one hand, they seem happy. On the other hand, they're a little more droopy than I like. I think it's because they just don't have the water they need. These peppers are so much happier. Look at those. Oh, they're going to be great. But, well, let me go this other way. The mustard and the dill and the two poor things growing here. This is a volunteer sunflower. This is like the third one I've put in that spot, and it's not happy. I have no idea why. But that one is finally happy. Thank goodness. Then we have more peppers and the sorrel and more lettuce and some bunching onions. The dinosaur kale has really been growing, as have the weeds, even though I mulched. Look at those weeds. I mean, seriously, they are everywhere. And the peas are finally filling. I'm going to pick them tonight. At least the ones that are ready. I've got tons. And the beans. The beans are finally growing, people. Finally. It has been nothing but a trial this year with the green beans. Just not wanting to grow, not wanting to come up. Well, and then the ducks getting to them. That's not the beans' fault. But, oh my goodness, they're finally growing. More onions that I chopped. And our carrots. This is the best I've seen carrots grow here ever. So that's good. These poor little peppers down here, they just, I don't know. We'll see if they grow. They should have plenty of sun. It should be working. Should be in the operative word in the gardening world, right? These beans and the yellow squash. I'm sure I told you, but my husband bought some yellow wax beans from Horrocks in Battle Creek, and he was so excited, and I thought the leaves didn't look right. Well, they're squash. Thing is, we don't know what kind of squash. So I kept the marker way down there. It says yellow wax bean. And we'll see. I have no idea what they are. And I figured sticking them in with the beans that weren't growing wasn't a problem. But we do have two Chinese mosaics out of the 12 I planted. So hopefully they'll grow. And then these cukes over here. You can see back here that the garlic, I've cut the scapes, and the garlic is not happy about the lack of rain. So this is what I really wanted to show you guys. My husband did the rototilling and got the corn all set for planting. So I planted all of the seedlings, and my daughter and my stepson helped with planting the rest of the seeds. And we have a sweet corn bed! So excited! I haven't been able to grow sweet corn for years. I've tried. I've done tons of research as to why what we did wasn't working, and I think a lot of it was that we did not have enough sweet corn. It takes a certain threshold. People basically say 10 feet by 10 feet of sweet corn before you're going to get an actual crop, and yet I've seen people do it with just 2 rows. I don't know. I'm just saying. Very excited about this. Now, as part of this, we are going to have to expand the fence, obviously, because we have deer. Not very many, but enough. So this back fence, we'll have to go back out a little bit, which is actually our plan in the long run anyway, because that would give us 1-2 more beds back here. And then the sweet corn, being as wide as it is going to necessitate another fence all along. And eventually we're going to put a gate out here and bring the fence along here, which means we'll have a little bit more room. Now right now we are under the big Queenie maple trees shade, but these guys also put a lot of shade in this yard. But in all reality, this yard gets the most sun out of any part of our property. So this is the best place to put the garden, right behind the barn. That's our big tumbler for compost and a bunch of weeds we need to kill. Anyway, that's why our garden is where it is because it gets the most sun most of the day. It still gets pretty shaded, not gonna lie. If you'll notice, our fruit trees are under some very tall black locust and wild cherry and a few other smattering of things in there. And so in the morning, they're shaded, and then the shade comes back. The whole garden at some point is in the shade, but it still gets a lot of sun right in here and even back into here. So that's why we want to move that fence back. But right now, we have sweet corn growing. My plan is on the berms in between the sweet corn rows to pile those with grass clippings and mulch to protect the sweet corn a bit and also create a warmer environment that corn likes. And that's part of why we planted it east-west instead of north-south. That way it gets the most sun and it's fairly equal. You'll notice they look a little peaked. Even though we watered the transplants yesterday after transplanting, they have a little bit of stress. So we'll see. But the goal this year is to do sweet corn. Next year, we'll put the green beans out here and have a big, huge thing of green beans. And then after that, potatoes, the year after that. So we're going to do potatoes, corn, green beans, 3-year crop rotation out here is the plan. But we'll see how things go. But this garden is finally starting to grow. Very excited about that. Really hoping it works this year. And that's your update from the Duck Shack of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Have a good one.